Yeah, goals. What do you guys think of goals? Yeah, I agree. Not as important as momentum. Me and my cow friends today are going to talk about goals and their distinction, process versus outcome. Warning, there's a lot of sniffling in this video, so if that offends you, turn off, because I sound like a bag of dicks. Cow friends, bit wet today, bit of a wetty. Oh look, there's a proper wetty down here. Just kicking off. So the cows are as passionate as I am about goals being a disease virus on Western society. That's right, pulling out the West versus East card early on, just to virtue signal that I am a pretty deep guy. So, I think there's a big problem with goals, mostly because and as all my videos come with the same warning, I'm not an expert in your goals, in your life. You know better than me in your life. This is just what I think, and based on my experience, goals are pretty damaging to one's well-being. And here's why. I believe that if you are focused on an outcome, so one of the only things that we have control over in life is our actions, our thoughts, and kind of somewhere between the two where we place our focus. So everything else is outside of your control. Everyone else's actions, everyone else's thoughts, how people react, the natural world, what the natural world does. Natural world. Quite a nice way of putting it is you can either be in your own business, somebody else's business, or the universe's business, or nature's business, or God's business, or whatever your preferred term for everything that isn't human is, or everything in total is. And most of us, me included, spend most of our time in other people's business, i.e. thinking about what's best for others, thinking about how we want to control their reactions, how we want to control what they do, or the universe's business, trying to control things that are external to ourselves. New angle. So, okay, so why does that matter? Well, if you're constantly placing your focus on things that are outside of your control and your well-being, so for example, let's take a goal. Let's take, I want to make 50 grand by the end of this year from my coaching business. Let's take that as a goal. And I'm talking GBP. Yeah, I'm talking bunts. Now, that is what I would call, and this isn't my original idea, this is what some people in coaching would call an outcome goal. It's based on an outcome, it's based on a specific thing happening at a specific time, somewhere off in the future. Now I want to invite you to think of how you organise your life around outcome goals. I'll give you a few seconds, pause the video. What outcome goals or ambitions have you set yourself? You thought of one? Okay. So, now imagine all of the variables there are in you achieving that goal. All of the things that are outside of your control. Now, one of the things you are probably doing, if you're anything like I used to be, and occasionally still am, is you will be placing you'll be staking your well-being on that goal. If it's a goal that's really important to you, you will have put in a high amount of emotional investment into that goal. You are very emotionally invested in that happening. If it happens, great, you met your expectation. You're probably a little bit buzzing for a couple of days or a couple of months if you're lucky. But if not, if you don't meet that, then you're a naughty boy / girl, and you deserve to be hit with a stick or some such. So, the problem, and I think the crux of the matter is that, like I say, if you choose to place your focus on this outcome goal or any sort of ambition, you are placing your focus on something that is outside of your control. You are staking your well-being, you are staking the outcome of the goal and therefore your well-being on variables that are mostly outside of your control. I'll take my 50k example. What happens if coaching suddenly goes out of vogue? What happens if I have a bereavement? What happens if I fall in love? What happens if I break my neck? What happens if, I mean, these are very extreme examples. What happens if there's a slight recession and people aren't as interested? What happens if I get an unfortunate string of no's that are statistically unlikely? And when I say no, a string of no's to, do you want to work with me? What happens if I get loads of no's that are statistically unlikely but clumped up together? What happens if I'm actually just naturally a bit shit at coaching? But all of those things are pretty much outside my control. Yet I have chosen, if I invest my emotional well-being into an outcome goal, I have chosen to roll the dice, baby. Roll the dice. I've rolled my mental well-being, rolled the dice on my mental well-being on life's fortune, life's chance. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time it doesn't, and the payoff's pretty small. Like I said, we tend to, if you've ever heard of something called the hedonic treadmill, you will know, essentially that means that the human mind is organised in such a way that our drive system is constantly looking for more resources, more food, more likelihood of finding a partner, more social interaction. We always want more. We want more of everything. That's how we're genetically made up, because we want to survive ultimately. Our genes want to survive. So evolution has carved us out in such a way that our genes will survive. Anyway, so the drive system will not rest on its laurels very long. You won't feel much of a reward for very long if you do get this outcome goal, this 50k by the end of the year. So the payoff's pretty small. The payoff is temporary and small before you move on to the next thing. But the amount of stress, potentially anxiety, worry, self-criticism you may experience if you don't reach that goal, and even if you do reach it, in the lead up to reaching it, because one of my favourite quotes, ambitions or goals are just an agreement you make with yourself to be unsatisfied until a certain outcome happens. So hopefully you're getting the understanding that a goal, in its typical sense, I want this by then, is not a very, depending on your definition of the good life and what's important in your life, it's not a way of orienting yourself around the future that is conducive to having fun, enjoying your life, feeling a sense of peace, feeling a sense of other wanky words that people like, you know. So yeah. So there you go. We're all screwed. Joking. There is an alternative. I'm not saying it's perfect. I think the most important part of this discussion that we're having, lecture, is that let go of outcome goals. That's the ideal scenario, is that we just live in the present all the time. There is no idea of a goal. It's just, I'm accepting my experience right now. However, that's not really on the cards for most people. That's not really on the cards because people have families to look out for. People want to live in the real world. They do want to achieve things. We want to indulge in our biological genetic drive system. So, is there an alternative? Yes. Yeah, there is. So the alternative is something called momentum. Call back. Can you see the cow? Momentum. And if we want to put it in the goal language, it's called a process goal as opposed to an outcome goal. Let me give you an example. If the outcome goal is I want to make 50k by the end of this year from my coaching, then the process goal, or one of many choices of process goals you may choose, is, sorry about the sniffles by the way, is I am going to reach out to 5 of my old friends that I don't speak to anymore per week and just have a chat and maybe mention coaching. Or it could be something a little more strict, like I'm going to spend 30 minutes per day learning about new coaching styles, or I'm going to go through the yellow pages and call one person, call 100 people a day and ask them, do you want any coaching, mate? Some such thing like that, something where the control, where the focus, like we said, 2 things within your control, your actions, your thoughts. And that's a Stoic belief, by the way. I didn't come up with that. Stoics are very interesting. Yeah, that's right. He knows about Stoics. Oh, cow's running. Cows running. That's momentum. That's momentum. They are doing me an absolute solid, these cows. So, yes, process goals. So you take the outcome and which is outside of your control, and you ask yourself, what of that outcome goal is inside my control? Doing something regularly, taking action, blah, 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 blah. And then you'll notice that actually even taking action and your thoughts aren't really inside your control. Because a lot of us know what we should be doing or how to get what we want, but we don't do it. So what's going on there? It's different with everyone. That's kind of where coaching adds value, or at least my style of coaching adds value, is you already know what you want. Well, no, you don't. You may not know what you want. Reverse, switch sides. You already know what you want. Oh, I did it again. You already know how to get what you want. You know the how, the shoulds, what should I be doing, but you don't know why you aren't doing it. And that is how looking into the why, this is confusing, isn't it? Why looking into the why behind what you want, what you truly want, why do you want it, why is it important to you, and really delving deep into that can help you unlock the real reason and the real motivation. Off topic. So I think this has to be under 15 minutes to be able to upload, so the end is going to be rushed. But pause. So the beautiful thing about process goals is that they create momentum. They pull you into momentum, and you can achieve them every day. And when you achieve little things every day, quite wonderful things start to happen to your momentum, your well-being, the way you see yourself. You start to be able to silence that inner critic. Overwhelm is less. And just in general, you feel like you're on the path. And so I would really encourage you, 15 minutes, I'd really encourage you to start to think, how can my outcome goals be process goals? What within this goal situation is within my control?